A local father says his family is saddened and dehumanized after his 3-year-old child was kicked out of a San Diego County-based church. The father took his 2 children to the Tree of Life Messianic Jewish congregation at Skyline Church to celebrate the Jewish holiday of Sukkot. They were walking through the lobby where children and their families reunite after the main service when his daughter began to cry. Only moments later, the rabbi's wife demanded that the father physically remove his child from the lobby and go outside. Eve has a trauma background and participates regularly in therapy.
Yeah, she said that I needed to control my daughter and that she was so loud that she could not hear herself think. Seeing how upset she was and conscious of my daughter watching nearby, I told Mrs. Liberman that I was giving her a little emotional space to allow her to regulate, and that we would leave when I could safely guide her out.
However, that response was not acceptable.
A few minutes after, both my son and daughter walked out peacefully with me. In that moment, my daughter was experiencing a variety of feelings. I could have just joined the chorus and silenced her, or I could be there, present, and go through her feelings with her, using that as an opportunity to strengthen our relationship, to show her that I'll be her advocate through all of her feelings, not just the convenient ones. While the lesson of teaching a child that we should be mindful of how our behavioral responses may bother or even annoy others, I think it's super important to remember that that lesson cannot be taught until the child is calm and their cognitive thinking is better enabled to receive that message.
Heather Forbes and B. Brian Post, in their book Beyond Consequences, Logic and Control, detailed the effects of trauma on the body-mind and how trauma alters children's behavioral responses. Forbes and Post advise caregivers to remember defiance is grounded in fear and is preceded by a freeze response. It can move quickly to aggression if fed with more fear. Forbes and Post suggest that when discovering this behavior, your child needs to be aware of your reaction to the defiance. Step back and give her space to process her feelings. Verbally acknowledge the fear to her in a loving way and teach the life lesson later when she's calm. Eve's father, a local part-time educator, assistant Little League coach, and PTO officer, is asking Tree of Life Messianic Jewish congregation Rabbi Joel Liberman to consider children with trauma training for leaders interacting with children. However, that request has been met with resistance and what he's calling intimidation tactics. After Lieberman stopped responding to emails, requesting a commitment to prevent similar incidents in the future, and deleted a public post off the group's Facebook page detailing the incident, Eve's family and friends began holding peaceful demonstrations along the public road. It was there where they were confronted by congregation leaders and Skyline Church employees, seen here circling around the group numerous times in a black SUV, recording video and taking photos of both adults and children on hand. After weeks of silence, Lieberman decided to meet with the family.
Perhaps jokingly, Mr. Lieberman stated that in a sick way, I'm glad you're out here because that's more attention for us. He conceded that my speaking out for my daughter to the degree that I had was the only reason he finally decided to meet with me and my family. I had already exhausted several internal channels with no success.
It was speaking up that led Lieberman to kick out the entire family from the congregation.
Toward the end of our conversation, Mr. Lieberman informed me that my family and I would no longer be welcome at any congregational functions, and that if we were to enter the atrium, he would have us escorted out by security. He stated to me that he was sorry in that he did not start the conversation at the beginning with our family no longer being welcome, regardless of the outcome of the conversation.
Tree of Life Messianic Jewish Congregation's policy when it comes to crying children was outlined in November 30, 2019 bulletin. The bulletin appears to suggest that families make use of the lobby or a new family room during the service. However, the lobby was precisely where the incident occurred, and it was after the main service where children are present.
I'm not really interested in an apology. This isn't about me. I just want Mr. Lieberman to do the right thing. These kids are innocent. My kids miss their friends. I forgave a woman who said that my child should be put in a straitjacket. Listen, we are all broken, imperfect people who often speak from a broken place. My daughter is no different. I'm no different. Yes, our past shapes us, but it doesn't have to define us. I truly believe that we can all learn from this experience and make it right, not for us, but for our kids. Something that really stuck to me was when Mr. Lieberman said that my daughter wouldn't remember any of this. But she will. I have a video of her baby naming ceremony. It's a beautiful milestone. That's why I think it's important to forgive and to commit to do the right thing. Again, not just for my child, but any child or family who walks into those doors broken and imperfect.
Children crying at places of worship is nothing new. Pope Francis of the Catholic Church has said, "Children cry, they are noisy. They don't stop moving, but it really irritates me when I see a child crying in church and someone says they must go out. God's voice is in a child's tears. They must never be kicked out of church."